Hello, I want to talk about my Aunt Ginger. She was the one who was instrumental in helping me discover who my biological father was. But first, I want to back up 8 years, December, when I submitted my ancestry test. I got my results that December 8 years ago, and I got a match right away to one paternal match, and it was a cousin. And so I messaged him through the site, and I was surprised that he responded very quickly. And I'm going to refer to him as T, but we got to meet in person. I got to meet his wife, and I happened to be in Florida to visit during the Christmas holidays at that time, and he lived in that area. So um, and then we got together one more time during the holidays before I left home, but we kept in touch and we talked about our matches, trying to figure out how we were related. We didn't know if we were related through his father or through his mother, but we knew for certain that my father was his uncle. Um, so a few months later, he gave me permission to view his matches on Ancestry, and I noticed that he had a top match for an uncle that did not match me. So there was a whole bunch of cousins, a lot of cousins below that uncle. So, and there was one cousin that I did message, and she was very helpful in helping me to narrow down who could have been T's parent. And so there was her father and four uncles and three aunts. And so we eliminated the aunts and then two of the uncles uh, after matching the cousins that were on Ancestry. And so, um, but which one of the two brothers was T's father? We didn't know yet. But we kept checking Ancestry over the years, trying to figure out, hoping that we would get some closer matches. And we weren't really getting anywhere. And I did get help from a search angel, and she was able to provide a little bit of information. But with that information, I couldn't find anything else. So we were kind of at a um, at a loss. We were like, you know, ready to give up. Actually, I was ready to give up. But at least I found a connection to my biological father's side. Um, so anyway, 4 years ago in February, I opened up my Ancestry account and I was shocked that I got another close match, two close matches. And I looked at those two matches and I could see that they were mother and son. And so I went over to Tom's matches, and that was his biological mother and his half brother. So I sent a message to Ginger and to this other cousin. I didn't get a response from the other cousin, but I did get a response right away from Ginger. And um, she was very kind, very nice, and was very receptive. And that was in February of 2022. And in May of 2022, I drove down to Florida to help my mother's husband with some things. And during that time, I was able to visit Ginger because she lived about an hour northeast of where my mother lived. And it was very interesting to meet her. And um, so she and I talked. I did not bring up T because I did not know what the situation was, with her giving up her son for adoption at birth. But I did over time drop hints. But anyway, going back to that visit, I before I ended the visit, I finally said, "Well, um, I am related to you. We are niece and aunt, and you said you have two brothers. So one of your brothers has to be my father. And she's like, oh, it has to be George, because he's the wild one. Bruce wouldn't do that. Bruce is the more upstanding um, citizen. So I was like, okay. So and she shared a little bit about her brothers, and secretly inside, I was kind of hoping it was Bruce, the more upstanding one, because um, I did not have a very good father figure in my life as it was, and if George really was that wild, then that meant that I was screwed either way. But anyway, I left there just really excited and very optimistic about what had just transpired. And she and I kept in touch sporadically over the next few months. And over those months, I would kind of drop hints and kind of ask her, like, did you want to have more children? Did because she had been married a couple of times after having her first son, the one that she raised. Um, and she, never brought up T. And I didn't bring him up because, like I said, I did not know what that situation was. I did not want to cause more pain for her. Um, and in the meantime, though, I was feeling guilt inside because I had contact with Ginger when she wasn't even responding to my cousin T. And I did not let T or his wife know what was happening. He did know about the initial response because I told him about that. But since she had not responded back to him, and I believe he tried again. Um, we didn't know, why she wasn't responding. But I knew that she had to be searching if she was on there because she was also on 23andMe too. Um, so anyway, that August of 2022, she texted me and asked or told me that George wanted to talk to me, and she provided his phone number. And I was like, oh, wow, that's the one that she believes could be my father. So I had to wait a day because I was so nervous. So I called the next day, and I was really surprised. He had such a deep voice, and um, I was a little, I was kind of scared. Is he going to be like my mother's husband? Because, Ginger said he was kind of wild. But he was receptive. He did tell me that he had never planned to have his own biological children, um, but he had been married before. But he did believe that I deserved answers, and he was willing to do that. And I offered to pay for a test for him, but he said no, he could take care of it. And we hung up on a good note. We didn't talk again until November. I honestly did not believe he would even do the test. And a lot of people say they're going to do something and they don't do it. But in November, I opened up my account, and there it was, parent-child, George. I was absolutely shocked. Even though I kind of had an idea, it was so surreal to see confirmation that after over 50 years, I am getting an answer of who my biological father was. So I called him, and he and I talked, and he shared that he was astounded to know that not only did he have me as his daughter, he had another daughter. I was shocked. I was like, another daughter? Who is that? And he told me the profile name on Ancestry, which she showed up as a cousin for me based on the Centimorgan numbers. So I asked him, how many Centimorgans he shared with her. And when he told me, I was like, she's for sure your daughter, which means that she is my half sister. So I have tried contacting her, but I have not had any success. I'm hoping that she will eventually, respond to my messages. But anyway, so he and I talked some more. He says, well, I would like to meet you before it's too late. He'd been having some health issues. So I was like, sure, I would love to. That was November of 2022. And I was planning on driving to Florida the next month anyway for Christmas. And so I said, me and my kids are planning on, my two kids and I are planning on driving to Florida for Christmas, and we can make a detour your way. He lived in North Florida, and spend a couple days and before we head down to the Tampa area. And so that's what we did the week before Christmas of 2022. The first time I laid eyes on my biological father, and we spent a couple days together. But that was the best Christmas gift I've ever received, even though he wasn't the father I had dreamed about. He was my father, and we learned. The kids and I learned a lot from him. He shared stories, and so it was really good, really really fun, and just really, that was the missing piece of my puzzle. And so anyway, as time went on, I had been praying that Ginger would eventually contact my cousin T. And I was still keeping all this to myself. Although he knew about me meeting my biological father, I did not tell him that I was still in touch with Ginger. And I learned, I was learning stuff, about my ancestors on that side of family from her, and learning about her and what her life was like when she was younger. And there was a lot that she went through, actually very similar to what I went through. It's a lot of different situations and a lot of similar situations. But anyway, I kept praying that she would, her heart was softened, and she would eventually contact T. Well, a year ago, February or March, actually, my cousin, his wife called me to tell me that they were in contact with Ginger, and I was so happy. I literally fell to my knees and cried and thanked God for answering my prayers. So she had never forgotten her son, and the story is just beautiful. I don't know if I can share it all without missing something or messing up some of the facts, but she never forgotten him, never stopped loving him, and the reunion was just beautiful. From what they, everything they told me, it was just an absolutely beautiful reunion. And then a few days later, after they told me that, I called Ginger and I said, "So you're in contact with your son?" And she's like, "Oh yes," and she and I talked about it, and there were tears on my end. I know there were probably tears on her end too. And a couple, she did tell me that what really lit the fire for her to finally contact her son T is that anytime I would talk to her, and I had visited her too, like 3 times before that, 4 times maybe. She said that just hearing the pain in my voice really spurred her on to finally contact T. And when I thought about that, I was like, the pain in my voice. I didn't even realize that I had pain in my voice when I would talk about searching for my father and searching for who that part of me was. But when I look at it, I'm like, that was a godsend, because if not for that, then she might not have ever contacted him, thinking that he might have wanted to be left alone. I don't know, what was going on inside her that, made her think that maybe she shouldn't contact T, but she did. And I'm so thankful, because Aunt Ginger died a week and a half ago, and T and his family had one of the most beautiful years with her this last year, and I'm so grateful that they reunited before um, she went to heaven, and we have some precious memories to um, to remember her by, and to share with each other. And I also got to meet her older son that she raised this past October. So, I have a new cousin too in my life, and I'm just really grateful that they've accepted me. I don't feel like they see me as an oddity. Um, I'm just really looking forward to um, our relationship here in the future. But Aunt Ginger is going to be sorely missed. Um, I think about her every day and think, I wish I had more time with her. Um, in fact, one of my last conversations with her was just like a week before she went into the hospital with pneumonia. And we talked, I was telling her that I wish that I had known her when I was, a little girl, that I think she would have been a fun aunt, that she probably would have, take me shopping and help me learn how to do makeup and, do all the girl things that I didn't do with my mother, that my mother just didn't want to do with me. Um, you know, take me shopping for clothes. And, she agreed that, we could have had a lot of fun together. And she and I also talked about the next time I went to visit her, which I was planning to actually this month during my son's spring break, that she wanted me to stay the night with her one night. And I was really looking forward to that because um, I'd never stayed overnight with an aunt like that. And I was looking forward to sharing stories and learning more about that side of the family. But unfortunately, um, I'm going to be going down there next week to celebrate her life instead of visiting her and learning more from her. But I am going to really, really miss her.